This is the story of a girl named Zoya. She was engulfed in the troubles of the world, but a prince from fairyland, Fairies, wanted to take her to his magical world. This story is very interesting, so let's begin it. As the day faded, a deep silence was covering the village. The leaves of the trees were rustling in the gentle breeze, and far away the sounds of birds could be heard. Outside the village, under an old mango tree, Zoya was sitting. The branches of the tree were shining in the sunlight, and near its roots, Zoya was drawing lines in the soft soil with her fingers. Sadness and deprivation were reflected in her eyes. Life had always tested her harshly, and today too she was alone, helpless and silent. Zoya was a brave but poor girl. Poverty had taught her to fight with circumstances since childhood. Her parents had passed away in an accident, and Zoya had neither any support nor any hope. Working hard all day, bearing people's taunts, and crying at night had become the routine of her life. That night, Zoya was tired from working the entire day. She wanted to sit in solitude for a while and lose herself in her thoughts. That's why she was sitting under that old mango tree at the edge of the village. The tree's leaves were rustling in the gentle wind, and in the silence of the day, the sound of falling leaves from the branches could be clearly heard. Suddenly, the direction of the wind changed, and a strange rustling echoed, as if someone was coming closer. Zoya looked around nervously but saw nothing. Then a golden light appeared in the sky. With that light, a magical fragrance spread in the air. Zoya's heart began to beat faster. Suddenly, a tall person appeared within the light. He was tall, handsome, and dressed in royal clothing. His blue eyes were shining like stars, and in his presence, there was a magical attraction. "Don't be afraid, Zoya," he said in a soft and enchanting voice. "Who are you?" Zoya asked in a trembling voice. He smiled. "My name is Faris. I am a prince from fairyland. I have known you for a long time, Zoya." Zoya was lost in astonishment. "How do you know me? Why have you come here?" Faris took a deep breath. "I have been watching you for years. Your courage, your truthfulness, your patience. I have fallen in love with you, Zoya. I have come to take you away from this sorrowful world." Zoya's eyes widened with surprise. A prince who came from another world was claiming to love her. Was this a dream or reality? "How is this possible?" Zoya asked in confusion. "Love is beyond possibilities and impossibilities, Zoya. If I wish, I can take you with me to fairyland, where you will never have to bear any sorrow again. But the decision is yours. Do you trust me?" Faris asked gently. In the silence of the day, the beating of Zoya's heart was clearly audible. There was honesty and sincerity in Faris's eyes, but could she really trust him? "If I go with you, will I be able to come back of my own will?" Zoya finally asked. Faris smiled and said, "Yes, but remember one thing. Once the door of fairyland is closed, it is difficult for it to open again. There, you will find everything you have never even dreamed of. But if you decide to return, then this door may close forever." Zoya looked up at the sky, which had been a witness to the sorrows of her life. She knew this decision was not easy. In the silence of the day, there was only the rustling of the wind, and Zoya was lost in deep thought. Were Faris's words true or a deception? Could he really change her life? "I can't decide right now," Zoya said softly, but there was slight uncertainty in her voice. Faris smiled and said, "I will not force you, Zoya, but remember, some decisions in life come only once. I will return tomorrow to get your answer." Saying this, he dissolved into the golden light. Zoya looked around in amazement, but Faris was gone. It felt as if he was never there, but his fragrance still remained in the air. The next day, Zoya's heart was restless with strange anxiety. She was busy with her daily chores, but her mind was entangled in Faris's words. In the afternoon, when she went to fetch water from the village well, an old woman stopped her path. That woman was always considered mysterious, and people stayed away from her. "Child, I see a strange light on your forehead. Have you seen a dream or met a strange person?" the old woman asked in a soft voice. Zoya was startled. "How do you know all this?" The old woman took a deep breath. "Because I know that people from fairyland don't come to the human world without a reason. If Prince Faris has come to you, then it is not mere coincidence. But remember, every magical world has its own price. Are you ready to pay that price?" Zoya's worries deepened. She quickly walked away from there, but her heart sank further into confusion. By noon, her heartbeat grew faster. She knew Faris would come today. Should she really go with him? Could she truly be happy in a new world? Just then, that same golden light sparkled again, and Faris appeared. He looked as handsome and majestic as always, but Zoya's heart was full of fear and inner conflict. "Have you made your decision?" Faris asked gently. Zoya took a deep breath. "I trust you, but I'm afraid of leaving my world behind." Faris extended his hand toward her. "Sometimes love requires us to take a risk. If you come with me, I promise you'll never face sorrow again." Tears welled up in Zoya's eyes. She knew this was a chance that would never come again. Her gaze fixed on Faris's outstretched hand. Her heart was filled with a mix of fear, uncertainty, and a strange allure. She knew that if she held the prince's hand, she would leave her world behind forever. After a few moments of silence, Zoya softly asked, "If I go with you, will I ever be able to return?" There was deep seriousness in Faris's eyes. Once the gate to fairyland closes, it is difficult to reopen. If you wish to return, it may not be possible. But there, you will find things you've never even dreamed of. Peace, respect, love. Zoya's heart pounded. This was a decision that could change her entire life. If she stayed in her world, she would always face poverty and loneliness. But in fairyland, with Faris, she could live a new life. Finally, Zoya gathered her courage and held Faris's hand. A golden light spread in all directions. Zoya felt her body become lighter, as if she were floating in the air. Suddenly, the ground vanished beneath her feet, and she was wrapped in a ring of light. All around her, a mysterious melody echoed, like some magical chant was being recited. Zoya closed her eyes. When she opened them again, she was in a completely new world. Zoya looked around in wonder. She stood in a magnificent garden filled with colorful flowers. Trees bore glowing fruits, and moonlight shimmered on the lake's surface. The air carried a fragrance never before experienced on Earth. Where is this?" Zoya asked in amazement. Faris smiled and replied, "This is fairyland, the place where dreams come true." Zoya couldn't believe she had arrived in such a beautiful world. Everything was so enchanting it felt like a dream. Faris led Zoya toward a palace. The palace was made of gold and silver, with walls sparkling with precious gems. As they entered, the doors opened on their own. Inside was a beautiful hall filled with radiant light. Faris brought Zoya to stand before a crystal mirror and said, "Look into this mirror. You will see the truth." As Zoya gazed into the mirror, she saw another version of herself. But it wasn't the Zoya who lived in the village. Her clothes had changed, and she looked like a princess. Suddenly, more scenes appeared in the mirror. The moment when Faris first arrived on Earth, and then another, where Faris was saying to someone, "I will bring Zoya to fairyland, but it's essential that she comes by her own will. Only then will the magic be complete." Zoya's heart skipped a beat. "Faris, what is all this? Why did you bring me here? Was any of this real, or is there another story hidden?" Her voice was filled with unease. Faris was silent. His eyes held a mysterious gleam. Zoya's breathing grew heavy. What she saw in the mirror was enough to shake her heart and mind. She turned toward Faris. her eyes filled with questions and doubt. "You said you loved me, but now it seems like there's another story hidden. What does the magic being complete really mean?" Zoya's voice was tense. Ferris took a deep breath. There was something in his eyes that Zoya hadn't noticed before. "Zoya, I never wanted to hide anything from you, but telling the truth too soon could have been dangerous." "The truth? What truth?" Zoya's heartbeat quickened. "There is an ancient law in fairyland," Ferris said with regret in his voice. "If any prince or princess brings a human from Earth here, that person must become a permanent part of fairyland. They can never return." "What? So you trapped me in this? You knew that if I came here, I could never go back?" Tears filled Zoya's eyes. Ferris stepped forward to take her hand, but Zoya pulled back and freed herself. "Zoya, I didn't do all this intentionally. I truly love you. I wanted to take you away from the sorrows of this world and give you a beautiful life. But I knew that if I told you the truth, you would never come with me." Tears streamed down Zoya's cheeks. "Love isn't force, Ferris. If you loved me, you would have given me the right to choose. I couldn't bear to see you in pain, Zoya." Ferris's eyes were intense. Zoya took a deep breath. Her mind was racing. "Is there any way I can go back?" Ferris fell silent. He lowered his gaze. "There's only one way, but it's not easy." Zoya looked at him with hopeful eyes. "What is it?" "If you can reach the oldest magical gate of fairyland and open it, you can return. But that gate has been sealed for centuries, and reaching it won't be easy. There are dangers, creatures that don't want any human to leave fairyland." Zoya wiped her eyes and said firmly, "I must find that gate, Ferris. I want to return to my world on my own terms." Ferris saw the determination in her eyes and paused for a moment. Then he said, "If you truly wish to go back, I won't stop you. But I will come with you, because on this journey, you'll need my help." Zoya looked at him in surprise. "You'll help me? But you wanted me to stay here forever." Ferris smiled softly. "Love isn't about holding someone captive. It's about making sacrifices for their happiness. If your joy lies in the world of Earth, then I'm willing to risk my life to take you back." Zoya paused for a moment, then nodded slightly. "All right, then we must leave at once." Night had fallen over fairyland. Silently, Ferris and Zoya left the palace and headed toward the enchanted forest where the centuries-old gate was hidden. As they entered the forest, they began to hear strange rustlings. The branches of the trees seemed to move on their own, and whispers echoed in the air. Zoya looked nervously at Ferris, whose eyes were alert. "We must be careful. Creatures live here who will try to stop us," Ferris whispered. Zoya nodded bravely and continued forward with him, but she had no idea what kind of dangers awaited them on this path. Ferris and Zoya moved silently through the forest. The trees seemed to sway with intent, and the air was filled with murmurs. Zoya's heart was racing, but her feet refused to stop. She was determined to reach that magical gate at any cost so she could return to her world. "Ferris, are you sure this is the right path?" Zoya asked in a low voice. Ferris replied with a faint smile. "Yes, but we must be extremely careful. The gate is guarded by the most powerful protectors of fairyland. They will not let any human pass." At the end of the forest stood an ancient gate, engraved with golden markings. As Zoya and Ferris approached, a loud thunder echoed through the air, and three shadowy figures appeared before them. These were the guardians of fairyland, their eyes glowing blue and magical spears in hand. "Who dares to defy the laws of fairyland?" one of them thundered. Ferris stepped forward. "I am Prince Ferris, and I wish to return Zoya to her world." The guardians glared at Ferris with anger. "That is impossible. A human who enters fairyland can never go back." Zoya stepped forward bravely. "I want to return to my world. You have no right to stop me." The guardians looked at each other, and then one of them spoke. If you truly wish to return, you must offer the greatest sacrifice of your love. Ferris immediately asked, "What sacrifice?" The guardian replied in a solemn tone, "If Zoya wishes to return, you must lose all your memories of her. You will never remember her again, and she will never be able to see you again. Do you truly love her? Are you willing to make that sacrifice?" Ferris's face paled. Tears welled up in Zoya's eyes. She was shaken by the sacrifice Ferris was about to make. "No, Ferris, I don't want this. If you have to forget me, then I won't go back," Zoya said through tears. Ferris gently held Zoya's hand. "Zoya, love doesn't mean just staying together. It also means sacrificing for someone's happiness. If your happiness lies on earth, then I'm ready to give up my memories." Saying this, Ferris turned to the guardians and bowed his head. "I am ready to lose my memory. Just let Zoya go." The guardians chanted magical words, and suddenly a bright light surrounded Ferris. Zoya screamed and ran toward him, but Ferris raised his hand to stop her. "Goodbye, Zoya. You must always stay happy." With that, the light in Ferris's eyes faded, and his memory began to vanish. Tears flowed down Zoya's cheeks. The gate had opened. She looked at Ferris one last time. He could no longer recognize her. With a heavy heart, she walked through the gate. In a single moment, Zoya was back in her own world. When she opened her eyes, she was beneath the old mango tree in her village. In the daylight, everything looked the same, but her heart felt something missing. She knew she had made the biggest decision of her life, but Ferris's love would always remain in her heart. They say love stays with you forever, even if memories fade.